dominant male. And I have two gentlemen in the audience, in the studio with me tonight. Alexis Roberts, thank you. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Please introduce yourself.
You pretty much just did it.
No, like, who are you? What do you want them to know about you? How old are you? Do you have any kids? Tell us about you.
Alexis Roberts, proud father of 4. I'm just here for you tonight, however you need me.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining. I know you're pretty vocal about topics like this, so I'm excited for us to dig in. And Lavelle, you're no stranger to Conversations with Cupid. Please introduce yourself.
Lavelle Orr. Some of you know me from MCM, Middle Class Matchmaker Group. So I'm a resident of Atlanta. Been here for a while. Went to Clark Atlanta University.
CAU.
All right. And yeah, I'm single man, 39, no children, and I'm just one day at a time.
Thank you for joining. And Lavelle is also coach of the MCM flag football team. He coaches the Panthers, and right now y'all are 2-0.
That's right, undefeated.
Beating my Falcons. How about that? Well, we're happy to have you as well. So let's go ahead and get started with tonight's show. Okay, so we had first of all, there was a lot of conversation around the topic. Initially, the topic was dating an alpha male. And I had a lot of pushback from people that were just like, there's no such as an alpha male. That has been debunked, all the scientific research. And so I changed the topic from dating an alpha male to dating a dominant male, just to appease people, because I don't want us to get so caught up in the semantics in the title that we don't have the discussion, and I don't want to derail our topic. So, I mean, what are your thoughts about that when I tell you that people were really up in arms about referring to a dominant male as an alpha male?
I try not to get too caught up in the weeds of the terminology all the time. I think we live in a more progressive society, and some people just hold different viewpoints on some of the more traditional type of roles and things of that nature. And so I think they kind of gravitate towards a different viewpoint, So,
yeah.
Some people have a more, traditional type of mentality, and that's just a difference in opinion, I feel,
What are your thoughts, Alexis?
It's a title, and with any title, everybody has their own opinion about the titles. With me, I've heard the term alpha male throughout my life. I've never really used it too much. I've never even considered myself one necessarily. I've heard it used towards me. I think in this particular situation, especially since so many people can have so many different opinions on it, there's a problem with the term itself. Is it because maybe you want to consider yourself as such and weren't? I don't know.
So I want to define it. I think to your point, I want to define it, and many people don't know this, but before I became a matchmaker, and currently I am a consultant, and I've been an HR training consultant for 14 years, and I'm certified in personality assessments. One of the things that makes me successful as a matchmaker is I'm able to determine people's personality type immediately. I can meet you and go, I know where you are, I know where you are. And that also helps me to match people. But people don't know this. So in HR world, that is a dominant personality type. And let me explain, it's not about being, I'm the man, me. That's not what I mean by dominant. It's also not about being abusive or being controlling. And I know people have these, different connotations when you talk about dominance. What I mean when I say the dominant male or the alpha male, what I mean is it's the person, if we were sitting at this table and there was a problem and it's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Here's the problem. It's the person that's going, okay, this is how we need to do this. You do this, you do this, you do that. And it's the person that we all look to as, okay, this is our leader. And they don't have to say, I'm the leader, I'm alpha, I'm dominant. It's just everybody recognizes this person as that. They just walk in the room and you just recognize this is the leader. It happens naturally. This might be our therapist, Lamar. Let's see who's on the call. Hey, welcome to Conversations with Cupid.
Hello, Lamar Walker calling in.
Hey, Lamar, I wanted to definitely have a therapist on for this conversation, so I'm glad that you could make it. Lamar just got promoted. He's director now of outpatient services at the hospital. Is that the title?
Yeah.
Okay, so he is not able to break away as early as he would like, so he is at work still. But Lamar, I don't know if you know, but on my page when I initially posted that we were talking about this tonight, I had a lot of like people saying, that's not correct. That theory has been debunked, and I don't wanna miss the conversation because people get so caught up in the terminology. So I changed it from alpha male to dominant male. But I want to say that type of personality type exists. No matter what label you want to put on it, it's the person that assumes natural leadership and everybody looks to this person to lead. They don't have to say, I am the leader, I am alpha. They never have to say anything. You just recognize it and know it. And I know you as a therapist, you know this to be true too. This is not, so I'm not using a term, I'm just describing it. I think that will make people feel better by giving a definition versus giving it a name. But go ahead and weigh in on this topic.
Well, I mean, dominance, you think dominance, you think strength. So you think about, okay, what's my dominant hand? That's, if you're right-handed, your dominant hand is your right hand. If you're left-handed, your dominant hand is your left hand. And people notice that that's your dominant hand because it's strong. You use it frequently, it's noticeable. Some people have dominant personality traits or dominant qualities. So if a man has maybe a intrapersonal skills, that means he's strong at interacting with other people around him. Or he may have dominant intrapersonal skills or personality traits where he really understands and knows himself. And that's noticeable. And, that attracts certain people. So, having dominance is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you're controlling. It doesn't mean that you're manipulative. It doesn't mean that I was reading a lot of the comments on there. There's no such thing as alpha male, this, that, and the third. And, everybody understands your point and your concept they're trying to get across. It's just that, a man that has some dominant leadership skills or some strength about him, so to speak, opposed to all the other stereotypes.
Exactly. And that's really what I want to get across. So I'll do this without giving it a label. When you are this type of person, when in a situation at work or playing football or whatever you're doing, you're looked to as the leader. That's it. Mm-hmm. And so I want to ask, you all, have you been in a situation where you've just been looked to as the leader? Like, well, what does he think about it? Have you? Because I've been in that situation where people are just like, well, I'm going to see what she thinks about it, and I'm going to go with that. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Typically, yes. Typically, I'm in most positions already in a leadership position. And it's just funny because the way you said it just a few minutes ago, you do have a lot of people that will sit at a table and bark orders, but that's not the one that everybody else is looking to. It's about what you just said. Who everyone else is looking to.
Exactly.
Not who's looking to be the leader.
And to your point, you can be this person without having the title. So let's say you're at a team meeting at work. I'm just going to give an example. There is a person who is the director, let's say. He's a director. He outranks you. But when you assert your opinion, well, I think we should do this. The whole team goes, yeah, I agree with him. Have you ever experienced that? Because that is what I'm describing. That is, it's a pack. It's like a leader of a pack mentality. You don't do it on purpose, but when you express yourself, people just follow what you say. And it's not like you're exerting it with force or you gonna do it. You don't have to do it like that. You just say, well, I think we should do this, and everybody goes, I agree, let's do it. Have you experienced that?
Well, yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I think people gravitate towards certain people with certain qualities because they either respect them, they respect their opinion, they seem level-headed, but like you said, also strong and dominant, confident.
Right.
And that confidence, when people exude confidence, it's catchy. People gravitate towards that because it's a sense of security.
Exactly.
And so that's why, in the I'm sorry, go ahead, Lamar.
Lamar, were you trying to say something?
And then sometimes the person that has these qualities, like you said, doesn't the people that are loud and boisterous and try to act like they have these qualities a lot of times don't. They're just masking a lot of their insecurities.
Exactly.
And sometimes when you have this dominance, you don't even. I mean, even for myself, I try to avoid situations of leadership. However, it just seems to come along. Somebody wants to even my position now.
Mm-hmm.
People just came to me and they said, "Hey, you should do this," and I'm like, "Whoa, I just want to do my job." And they're like, "No, you have some ideas and you have some things that we feel that can make things happen." So when you have these qualities, it just kind of pops up. People, like you said, just come to you. They want to share with you. They want you to, they want your opinion. They value your opinion, and you come off welcoming.
Exactly.
The true leadership or dominance is your ability to be able to communicate with people and people feeling comfortable around you. Just to use the term, an alpha male, an alpha or whatever, you think in the wildlife, that's a pack. He has to be able to communicate with those around him. And it's not all about him. There's not a level of arrogance. It's just you make choices that are in the best interest of everyone around you. So people feel that, hey, this person has a solid mind, is able to make solid choices, and doesn't have ulterior motives, and is going to do things that's in the best interest of everyone around.
Yes, and I want to let me put a pin there, because I also want to describe the other types. Without giving names, I'm just going to describe the other types of people at the table. So we're all at a table at work. You've got one person, like I said, that is like an assumed leader role, right? Whatever you want to call it. That's that person we're talking about tonight. Then you have another person at the table where if everybody's like, I don't know, this doesn't sound good. This person is like, no, we can do it, y'all. Come on, let's do it. Like, don't give up. That's the encourager. That's the person that's going to rally everybody, cheer everybody on, and say, you're strong here and you're strong there. We can do it. That's your cheerleader person. Then you have a person at the table who's in a support role. Whatever y'all want me to do, just let me know. I'll do it. You need me to type something, you need me to carry something, just let me know and I'll do it. Then you have another person at the table who is the more conscientious type. And that person is, whatever documents you create, they're checking all the T's and making sure all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted, and they're going to come back and say, no, that's not going to work because they're very analytical. So you have these 4 different types of personalities, and dating each of them is different. Tonight we're focusing on the person that's more dominant. Now, there are strengths and weaknesses with each of these types of people. So I don't want people to feel like, and I think what we hear a lot of times, people speak out because they feel like I'm not dominant, so that means something's wrong with me, and so I'm gonna speak out against this because it doesn't reflect me. But all those different types are necessary for a team, for a relationship. You need all of those different types, but dating each one is different. And so tonight, that's why I said I want to talk about dating a dominant male. Let me tell you what I've noticed from my observation as a matchmaker, and I want y'all to chime in. Even in our Facebook group, you can see this too. But the dominant male, he doesn't have to seek attention, or he doesn't have to pander for dates. He doesn't have to say why nobody's in my inbox. In fact, he will never say that. The dominant male is never going to say, ain't nobody asking me out, and he's never going to say that. He sees who he wants and he gets them. It's a very different ball game when you're dealing with a dominant. I'm just telling you from my observation. I always know that who's who based off how they interact. A dominant male, women sense that dominance, and a lot of women are attracted to that. And I'm not talking about cockiness, and I'm not talking about, arrogance. I'm talking about somebody that's just like, I know what I'm bringing to the table. So, and they just show up, and women are just like, ooh, I want him. They just, so their approach to dating is very, very different, because they don't have to go get it as much as other types of men. So I want to talk to you about that. Like, what has been your experiences dating from that perspective? You can tell the truth.
It's difficult. It's difficult because you have, people think just because you have options that, you're willing to pursue every option.
Say that. I know. I wish you was here so I could point at you.
Women can be kind of intimidated with that factor.
Man.
Yeah, that's a good point
you're
right
an
there.
alpha male, women like you, women enjoy you, you have something about you, women like, so you must have tons of women lined up. You must be a player, you must be doing this, that, and the third, but that may not be the case. I mean, as an alpha, as a male that's trying to do things or have a direction in your life, you don't have time for games, but women a lot of times tend to automatically assume that. So that can be troubling when it comes to dating.
That can be troubling. So there's an assumption that you're a player, that you have a lot of women because people notice that a lot of women want you. That's what I hear you saying, Lamar. What were you about to say, Alexis?
Yeah.
What he said.
No, I want you to elaborate. So women assume you have a lot of options and that you're playing various women.
Man, y'all know I'm Christian.
Be honest, though.
No, I hear that quite often. And the truth is, like I said, I'm a father of 4. Between that, working, and everything else that I have going on, nobody has time to be chasing everybody all day, every day. Getting up in the morning, getting the kids ready for school, getting them to school, handling my business throughout the day, getting them home from school, doing all my work.
Are you a single father? Are you the one doing everything?
I don't want to say that because I have me and their mom. We have an amazing relationship, so I have a great support system. We co-parent very well. But even when I don't have my kids, because we switch up throughout the week, it's just kind of dependent upon our schedules. But again, nobody has time to sit there and chase everybody all day, especially at my age. You get too old for that. I'm going to leave it right there for now.
Okay, Lavelle, you want to comment?
And could you just repeat the question one more
I
time?
was just talking about the difference in dating a dominant male versus some of these other types, and that a dominant male, his approach to dating is quite different because women sense that dominance, and a lot of times they're like, they might step to you, they might, reach out to you. It's so funny because there's some, and this is in the wild too, and back me up with your theories from a therapy perspective, but in the wild too, there's always been types of people that, like the lion that's in charge of the pack. He has all the women, no? Like all the female lions.
Well, the lion,
the pack leader has all the women.
Right. He has dominated the pride, and he has rights
But
to breed to every.
Yeah, it's like that in the wild. It is.
Yeah.
And another.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at that approach, yes. It is. I mean, and if you look at from biological perspective and everything like that, yes, it's set up. Okay. I mean, but society as it is now, it's not really looked well upon. It's frowned upon. And also, I mean, if you even look historically, there was parameters for such type of behavior. There was always one main woman that pretty much related everything. So then even in the wild, there may be several different females that, the main had, but there was always one that controlled everything.
Yes. And there are alpha women as well. I know we're not using that term, but this thing is not just for men. These personality types also exist with women. I want to clarify that. So it's not just that these are these types of men. These are these types of people. And so what I was saying week before last when we had the show, Shanta was saying that she likes alpha men, and I was telling her, no, you're alpha. You're not going to date another alpha woman. Let's talk about that. So let's use a different term before people get upset. As dominant as your person.
Well, I think with the dominant woman, I think it's tricky because a dominant woman, or what's seen as a dominant woman, is a woman that's very successful a lot of times in her career. So when she's successful in a career, there's a type of attitude she must maintain because people are watching her. She has to overcome a lot of feminine stereotypes about being weak or being overly emotional. She has to take charge and, make a lot of things happen. So when she's faced with a man that has, that is, is in control of his life too, and she's used to having a lot of control and used to, kind of running things, it's kind of difficult a lot of times for them to kind of allow the men to lead.
It's
So
not even.
it becomes, you kind of bump
They
heads
bump
with
heads.
them,
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
know. And then some of them that,
Can't see.
they just have to be careful because, some men aren't going to let you talk so many old way. And they, as being a natural leader, you're going to want to kind of, not necessarily control, but you're going to want to kind of lead the relationship and lead things along so that way it moves in a direction that works best for both of y'all.
Right. All right, Alexis, you were going to say?
Well, first, words like control, dominate, alpha, they trigger problems
They
to begin
trigger,
with,
yeah.
right out the gate, because there's such negative
Connotation.
put with them. The same way I said earlier on your post, anytime you say like alpha male or strong black woman, for example,
Yeah.
it's automatically, oh, she has an attitude, this,
Right,
that, or the other.
right.
And as he was making the example, if you have a successful woman in business or whatever, but it's not just that. When you have these women at home that are put in situations by some men, or lack of men rather, that weren't there to handle the business, that woman now becomes that person that has to make all the decisions
Right.
while raising their daughters or raising the sons, all the decisions for the house, this, that, and the other. So that makes it even harder for a man to come in and, as some would say, either control, dominate, or whatever else. To me, no, and I understand everybody's different, whether they go on biblical terms or whatever else it may be. I just think in 2017, the idea of one dominating a relationship or controlling the relationship in most situations, my opinion, leads to failure, because you're in a time and a generation where teamwork is required more than ever.
You both need to participate. I'm with that kind of co-lead dynamic in relationships as well. Lavelle, you were going to share something?
Well, I just wanted to answer your question because you asked about what did I feel the differences were between dating an alpha
Right.
and the other types of males. And one of the biggest thing that I feel is missing is I think women, they miss the masculinity of a man. I feel like they miss that. A lot of women are missing those leadership qualities. They miss a man that's going to take charge, who is going to provide direction. They miss that primary disciplinarian in the home who can
Right.
provide guidance and things like
I
that.
agree. And Jeffrey was here a couple weeks ago, and he was making statements like that, and all the women were just like, yes, like, we like that. A lot of women like that. Like, yes, lead, take charge. We like that. But to your point, that is not always there. That's not always the men that you see. You don't always see a strong, I'm gonna lead my household type of dude.
Right. I agree. So, I mean, that's the biggest difference that I see. And in an alpha or dominant male or whatever we want to call it, whether we like it or not, we're there to take that load, the majority of that load. We're there
burden,
to take
yes.
take that load off of the woman so that, she can lean on you and vice versa.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with having a good, strong support system, though. I want to say that as well, because nobody is strong all of the time.
No,
You know what I mean?
right.
So, and one of the things, the hardest part about being strong is that sometimes people don't check on you.
Yeah.
They don't
recognize.
They
it.
don't
Sometimes
recognize
you're
that.
not.
Hey,
Yeah.
you got a lot on your shoulders,
Right.
Because of the way we carry ourselves. You know what I mean?
And to Alexis' point, some people are forced to be the strong one, even if they're really not, because of circumstances.
But-
so if that man is not there, she has to pick up and move. Doesn't mean that she's alpha naturally. She's circumstantially.
Correct.
I'm in the lead. I gotta call all the shots. Nobody else is here to do it. Doesn't mean that she won't back up if you walked in. Like, if you walked in, she might go, all right, come on.
But now the problem with that is, and I agree with everything that he just said. A lot of people have a hard time identifying the difference between leading and controlling.
Ooh.
And men have a problem with
That's
that.
good. That's
Women
good.
have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's good.
Men have a problem with it to where it's like, I'm going to lead by, you're going to do what I'm going to tell you to do. No. As opposed to leading by example, leading by his character, by his integrity, by the man that he is, the husband, the father, or whatever else he may be. And then women, on the other hand, when they've had bad experiences with men growing up, whether it's their father, brothers, whoever that man was in their life or who was not in their life, a lot of times they'll look at a man that is attempting to lead them in a positive way. They're like, let's walk together, but allow him to be the leader of that household, a leader of the family, because their mind is so stuck on I'm doing this, you're not going to control me, when it's not about control.
Yeah, it's really not about control, but I feel like
Yeah.
fear keeps people from relinquishing control. Because in a relationship,
Yeah.
regardless of your personality type, both of you have to be vulnerable. Both of you.
Right.
Both of you, whether you're dominant or you're not, you both have to be vulnerable, and you both have to allow the other person in. And fear keeps you from doing that. Go ahead, Lamar. What were you gonna say?
No, I was agreeing with you. All of that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I come across a lot of what you guys are talking about on a regular basis. Women that have had different experiences with men that have kind of put a bad taste in their mouth, so then they don't know how to approach someone that, that are maybe more of what they are truly looking for. So they may think that, okay, he's giving some suggestions, or he has a plan that may be looked at as, oh, he's trying to control me. Or they may think that, hey, aggression is dominant, so they tend to go towards someone that's more aggressive, but then they feel uncomfortable when, it gets out of control.
Yes.
Or they may have a man that's really passive and doesn't do anything, sits on a couch, doesn't work, this, that, and the third. So when they have somebody in front of them that is doing something, that's out there trying to make a better life, they may not know how to handle that either, because that lazy guy, they have to keep telling him to get off the couch.
Right.
Go out there and do something. So, yeah, our experiences shape a lot of how we interact with each other. And, yeah, fear is another issue, It's that emotion of that vulnerability that you don't want to allow yourself to get to, or you avoid trying to be hurt.
No, I think that's a very good point. And I want to talk about this because you talked about control. Both of you talked about control and aggression, because that's not positive. Like, okay, if we're in a relationship, I don't care what your personality type is, if you feel the need to exert control or be physical or yelling or whatever, that's weakness. That is not strength, because you don't have to overexert yourself to lead. And I think a lot of people, that's why a lot of people confuse the two, and there's so much negative connotation with being a leader, being dominant, whatever you want to call it, because some people misuse their power, and they feel like they need to beat you to get you to submit to them or to control you, and that's weakness. That is weakness to me. That's not strength.
Yeah, some people use intimidation tactics.
Yes.
But if you're a true leader, you don't
have to do that.
You know what I mean? Because really, being dominant is about showing love. It's about protecting people.
Yes.
It's about security.
Yes.
It's about just providing that masculine energy to someone. And one of our primary roles is of an alpha male is to take care of everyone around you. That's his primary. That's his sole purpose, is to take care of everyone around him, help those that can't help themselves, lift people up. That's true strength. You know what I'm saying?
And like you said, it stems from love. And you don't have to be, and if you want to go to the Bible, when it talks about what love is, and love isn't prideful, love isn't boastful, love, when you look at to me, that's a definition of love. And it's not controlling, and it's not, beating someone. It's not those negative things that people mistake leadership with. The best leaders I've had have been like, let's do it. I'm going to get in here and do it with you. It's not, you need to do this or I'm going to fire you. That's like, that doesn't work for me. I'm not going to be led by fear.
So what do you think about the ladies who say, I need me a little thug in my life, girl?
So hold on.
Wait, because I want to play with that for a
Okay,
second.
go
But
for it.
I do want to address one thing that you brought up when you were talking about the aggression. There are a lot of men out there that aggression comes from. With some of them, it's just who they are. But with others, you have some that confuse home with the workplace. They're leaders, or they're in charge at home, but they try to at work, but they try to run their house the same way, and you can't do that. Or the opposite, they have not a bit of pull at work whatsoever.
Ooh,
and it becomes a situation
Alexis.
of I have no pull here, but I'm gonna run this. And when they're not able to run, when you feel like you're not getting respected at work or at home, that anger comes out.
Yeah.
Or when you're trying to treat your wife, your girlfriend, whoever it may be, as though she's an employee that you're over at work, you're going to have those problems. They need to understand it's a different type of teamwork and dynamic that takes place
in a relationship.
Home versus relationship.
I think you're so right. And let's talk about these women too, because Lamar talked about it too. Women who are in leadership at work, that doesn't mean anything. Like, to me being a boss, I have 2 businesses or whatever. When I'm home, that's out the window. Like, I'm not gonna exert and talk to you like you're my employee or you're, like you're my subordinate. You're my man. Like, that to me, that's out the window. And I feel like you have to be able to shift that. And some people can't. To your point, if they're if they're at the bottom of the barrel at work, then they try to overexert at home. Like, I'm the man. You don't have to do that. You could just be. And I think all of that comes from insecurity, fear, lack of confidence, those things that can make this negative. Were you going to say something, Lamar?
Nah, I want to play what he was about to say.
Oh, okay.
The whole thug.
Oh, this thug thing.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about it. Hyper masculinity. Some people have brought up there is a concept. There is I need to be extra, thuggish with it. Let's talk about it.
Well, no, because I think the place he was going with it was you have a lot of women out there that's what they're looking for. And let's be real, because I've seen some of the stuff on your page, and I have 9 sisters, so I know the way my sisters talk. They want that businessman, that professional man. What can I say on this thing? I don't know what I can.
You can't curse, but you can say
no cursing.
A little rough around the edges. Is that what you're saying?
I'm a Christian. I don't curse anyways. Mm-hmm. So, but a lot of these, I mean, you hear it quite often. Like, nobody wants that dude that they can just run over.
Yes. Listen, I've had one. Let me tell you, it looks easy. I'm going to be so honest with you. I've had a man that whatever I say he would do. Pick this up, pay for this, go do this, da-da-da. And at some point, I began to lose respect for him over time. Because I'm not even that type of person. I'm really a sweet person. But over time, because he was the doormat, like he would never say no. He would never say, I'm not going to do that. He never gave me any boundaries. He just let me do whatever I want to do. Over time, I lost respect for him. And that's not what you want. I'm telling you, sisters, it looks like that's what you want. You want somebody that's henpecked. You don't. You don't want somebody to just do whatever you say, eating out of the palm of your hand. It looks great, but you need somebody to say, no, I'm not going to do that. Sit down somewhere. Like, I need that, me personally. You gotta, because if you don't, I'm gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep going, and you gotta be like, nah, this is my boundary. I'm not gonna do that. But the thug thing, that's tricky. I'm really trying to parse my words because it's like I don't want a thug like a street thug, like literally all you doing is slinging dope all day. I don't want you. No, that's not what I want. Like, let's just be clear. But it's this.
There's got to be a balance.
It's a personality thing with them. It's the dominance that they have.
It's the confidence.
It's the confidence. It's the I'm the man mentality. The confidence that a lot of people lack. That's what I like. I don't want you having any illegal job. Like, none of it. I want you to be all on the up and up. I like a man in a suit. I really want you to know how to eat. Which fork do you pick up? I want you to have all of that, but also have that confidence and assertion that thugs tend to have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's valid.
Yeah, I don't want you like not knowing what to say or how to speak correctly or not knowing what to, like, no, that's not what I want. I don't know many women who want that unless they're thugs themselves.
It's not even. I think it's just whether it's attitude, whether it's image, because there's a lot of times, and you've been on my page for a while. So in a suit,
women love.
But when that suit comes off and it's the tattoos, some of the most professional women in the world, it's like that suit is like, but the tattoos.
So you have a triple threat, because what I noticed with you'll post a picture in a suit, and like you said, women, when you post a picture in your uniform, your police uniform, that's a whole different crop of women. Like, ooh, they love a man in uniform. You post a picture with your daughter, and you get, he's so sweet. Like, so you get women on all these different angles. Like you said, take the suit off, they see the tats, and they're like, and they see the muscles, and they're like, So you reaching women on all these different angles.
Because the way you're saying it.
It's the truth, though.
But
Tell me I'm lying.
Saying it, though,
tell me I'm lying.
You're lying.
I'm not. You know I'm not. You reach them on all these different levels, and they like, your intellect, and they like the way you look, and the fact that you can do both. Because women say they want a man who can do both. They like that too. So you reach him. And Lamar does that too. When he posts pictures of his kids, he has a little boy and a little girl that he loves. And when he posts pictures of them, I see women going, ooh, So you're able to attract women with your children too. I know that's not your intent, Lamar, but that happens.
No, definitely not.
I know it's not your intent, but it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, all the ladies, I appreciate when I post. All 11 of y'all, I appreciate y'all.
When you get women with your dogs too, like you post Tyson, and they're like, "Oh, look at him, he's got a dog," and
Well, puppies do that. You know what I'm saying? Puppies do that. But
yeah. So I think everybody knows what they can do to attract folks. Like everybody knows what their leverage is. You have a way with words that women love. You make a post and they're like, oh, because you're spiritual and you want love and you believe in relationships and marriage. And so when you post that comes across to women as sincere. It's sincerity. And, like, I want a man like that. He's the type of man I would want. Women have that reaction.
I got you.
And I know you know that.
Yeah. I mean, I was just kind of, playing around.
Yeah, I think every man knows his leverage. And woman, we all know what's our leverage. Some men post workout videos all day, every day. Some men post their tats. Some men, post topless shirt. I mean, pictures, whatever it is. Everybody knows their thing, I would hope.
Yeah, you got to know your strengths out here. You know what I'm saying?
No, what are they saying? Oh, we got to read the comments. Who look like Chico the Bard?
Man, I heard that mess off the call. Hey, was it somebody by the name of Bosco who said that mess?
She said you look like Chico the Barge.
I heard it mess off the call.
Can you sing?
Sure can, if I could.
You would be killing them if you could sing.
It would be over.
Yeah, it would be over.
I won't be saying anything, just singing everything.
All right, let me see. No, actually, I was not talking about Darnell because Darnell knows I love him. But Darnell also knows beards, the tats, and the muscles get women. But anyway, my point is, it's different dating an alpha male versus some of these other types of men.
You mentioned something before about hyper masculinity.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
That kind of like men that just puff their chest out, or they got to be showy, or just overly controlling. Is that what you're talking about? Like,
yes.
That whole machismo frame of thought. Like, I have to tell my woman what to do, or she has to walk behind me, or she has to sit in the back seat, or it's. I mean, I see that from time to time, and that's just overcompensation for insecurity. I can't. I think somebody else mentioned it before. Like I don't have control outside my home life,
Alexa
so
said that.
I'm gonna overly try to control everything else. You know. Or, I might have been bullied as a kid, so now I got to act like I'm real tough in front of everybody else.
Yeah.
So that overly, this is what it means to be a man. And those individuals, honestly, a lot of times don't have a clue what it means to be a man because they haven't had healthy male role models in front of them, or they haven't had someone to educate them about what it means to be a strong, positive man.
Let me hit
I mean, you talk about, us posting pictures of our kids, but I think my major strength or my major dominance, and I feel probably the same with these other brothers, is that ability to be a true father. And in being a father, you got to be able to balance a lot of things too. At sometimes you got to be stern with your kids, and at sometimes you got to kind of, they kind of get over a little bit.
I don't know that you're ever stern with Princess. I would have to see it to believe it because I don't believe it. But
oh yeah, the boy gets it.
Yeah,
My
the girl
daughter,
does
she
not.
Gets away with it, but the boy, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe your little
tough.
girl gets away with everything.
First
too.
off, I'm a G with my kids. Understand that.
I don't believe it.
I'm a G with my kids. But I do want to touch on something that he said just a minute ago, especially when it comes to these young men learning about leadership, learning about the difference between dominance and leading a home. Because there's so many of these young men and women that don't have that leadership in the house. Example, I use this example all the time. If I were to put a bike in front of you right now, but you've never seen it, you've never seen a picture of it or anything, and just said, ride it, you look at me like I'm stupid. But then if I showed you a video or a picture of somebody riding it, I put it in front of you, and you'd have the concept like, all right, I know what it's for. But me actually taking you, putting you on that bike, pushing you down the street, holding onto the handlebars, and that's what it takes to teach a lot of these young men and women, and we're not doing that anymore. Our generation lost that somewhere.
Yeah.
The same guidance that we received when we were younger. We're not doing that to our own kids. We're so consumed with ourselves. We're out, you know, whether it's working or whether it's now that we're off of work, we got to unwind in the hookah lounge or this lounge or this, that, and the other. The internet, television, and the neighborhoods are raising our kids, and they're not the same type of neighborhoods that we grew up in where everybody knew each other. You know, we're moving around so much, we're not staying in one place but then we're wondering where our young men got lost. Where did they forget how to be leaders? Where did they forget how to be men, how to be husbands, how to be fathers? When did you teach them? And you see me, you know, I post stuff with my kids all the time, but one of the main things that I do is promote fatherhood. You know, I you know, whether it's growing up without a father or anything else, I realize how important it is for us as leaders, us as men, to step up. And whether we have kids or not, whether it's coaching, whether it's teaching, there's a young man or a young woman that needs that guidance to see what a man looks like, to see what a leader looks like, versus getting older, you never had that bike to ride. Now as a grown man, you're trying to ride this bike and you're falling off because now you're trying to be a husband to somebody or a father to somebody, and you're thinking that I'm going to control this situation because you've never experienced on how to truly lead.
I think
which
that's
is
a
why we
valid
have so
point.
many issues.
I want to talk about something else because I know that, you know, you've been a police officer for a long time, but I have you're not anymore,
Right.
but you have been. I want to talk about this because this is just my theory, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I think that some of these men are attracted to certain positions in life, certain roles, certain jobs. I think these men are attracted to. And let's talk about police officers. I think that's one of the positions that these types of men are attracted to. You said something.
You know how I feel about police right now. Don't get me
I
going.
know, but this is important because given the climate that we're in,
All
what
right.
I'm about to say is important. Some of these police officers may feel that they're at the bottom of the totem pole and they don't get the respect. Like you talked about people getting respect at work. They don't get the respect at work. So the minute I pull this young black guy over, now I get to exert my authority that I don't get anywhere else. I'm not seen as the top of the totem pole anywhere, but right now I'm at the top of the totem pole, and right now I'm going to exert my authority, and it's going to be extreme because I wear this badge or I have this gun. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I feel like that's what I think is going on. So I just want you to speak to it briefly. I know you probably feel some kind of way, touchy right now, but if you could speak to it briefly.
The truth is this, and you've heard me speak on it before. First off, there are a lot of amazing officers out there. I always say this because I never want it to seem like I'm anti-popo.
Of course, there are definitely
I
a
love
lot
some
of
popo. That being said, the reality is there are a lot of officers that have no business wearing that badge, and not just because of their personal beliefs or ideas or whatever, but because of what you just said. You have a lot of men that have never had authority a day in their life. And they're seeking it so badly that the minute that they get that badge, they're out there, you're going to submit to my authority. And that's not what authority is. That's why even with when I was in law enforcement, I was promoted and I moved up so quickly because of my relationship with the community.
Okay.
Everybody knew, I grew up in Atlanta. I grew up in College Park and a little bit in some other spots, Zone 3. Everyone knew me. Respect my badge, I'm going to respect your hustle. I'm not about to take you to jail for everything. There's stuff we can talk about, work through, whatever else. Because I was that person, not everybody needs to go to jail. I don't need to talk to you a certain way.
And we need people like that in our
I'm
communities.
not
We
going to
need
talk to you a
that.
certain way. I ain't got to fight you for everything. No, if I got to put my hands on you, I'm going to put them on you pretty well. But that being said, everyone knew to make me go there, it took a lot because I'm going to respect you out the gate. But you have a whole bunch of officers that respect my badge. No. Bump that badge. How about you make them respect you? But by your behavior, by your conduct, speak to this young man as though he's a young man instead of speaking to him as a criminal right out the gate.
Yes, exactly. That was my point. But I think a lot of these people who have insecurities and lack confidence, they might gravitate to a role like that
Yeah,
because it
because
automatically gives them authority.
Their wife ain't respecting men at home, so they bringing that mess to work. The reverse of what I said earlier.
Exactly.
You know,
But a lot of people are just afraid of some men. You know what I mean? They automatically are intimidated, and so they have to, puff up or put on a show, if you will. And so, yeah, I see that a lot too with certain men in certain positions. But like you said, it's just about showing the person the respect that you would want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that I think that some people gravitate towards certain positions. I met a guy before who was a fireman, and I love firemen. Let me make sure I'm clear. I love service people. Just turn here. Just
I did it.
right on the
Stop.
side. Turn it down.
You're going to yell at me on TV.
Okay. My point is, I met this guy, and I love service people. So let me not. So there are other positions. I'm just giving these two as examples before y'all beat me up. I met this guy, and he was a fireman, and I was like, wow, he lacks a lot of confidence, and I feel like you probably chose this role because you're somebody. You know what I mean? I just felt like that when I met him. He was like, he felt like he hadn't really accomplished anything, and he talked about with or whatever role he was in, he didn't work every day, so he didn't bring home a lot, and he was in a relationship where his wife made a whole lot more than him, and he felt so at home he didn't feel that respect, like you just said. Then he gets out here, and he's now, I'm a hero, I'm respected. You know what I mean? That can happen in the military. I mean, there are different roles that I feel like people like this gravitate to.
I'm snitching. It was him this time.
Just cut the volume on the side, cut it all the way down, then y'all can look at it. But anyway, that's just my theory. I don't know if this is true or not, but it's just my theory. This type of person is not going to be a garbage collector. Like, this person's going to choose a role where they can get authority and respect off the bat. This is my theory. But go ahead, Lamar. Do you want to chime in here? Lamar?
Yeah, what'd you say?
I was saying that I think certain personality types are attracted to certain professions, and I wanted to ask you to chime in.
But I mean, there are stronger. You have stronger, like I mentioned before, on skill sets as it relates to different fields. But I think also it's just your rationale. Why you choose that field? If you go into law enforcement, maybe you have that thought that you want to protect, and you want to help, and you want to serve, and you want to do something for your community, opposed to the thought of, I want to control people, So, I mean, the personality does fit certain jobs, but however, I don't think I even fit in that scenario. I mean, I'm a therapist, and, in my field, I see more women. So.
You see a lot of women in your field?
There's more women in the field of therapy than there is men.
Okay, I don't think I knew that.
You said what?
I said I don't think I knew that. I don't think I was really aware of that, but it makes sense.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, when I first got into it, it's generally looked at as more of a field that has more of a feminine type of, throughout history, more women have been more therapists than men, and even in more leadership roles, you see more women. Unless the male goes for like his doctorate, becomes a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
But as far as just a counselor, there's more women. I mean, even in where I'm at now, in my county, I think there may be maybe 2 other black male therapists.
Oh, wow.
So.
Well,
yeah.
And I wanted to say, so our calendar is coming out next month, and Lamar will be featured in our MCM Sexy Single Swimsuit calendar. So he's not just smart, he's also sexy lady. So he's going to be in the calendar, Mr. June, I think. So look out for that next month. I forgot to share that. But back to what we were saying. Let's talk about, so we talked about 2 people that were dominant might butt heads. And I often see that opposites connect when it comes to personality types. So I wanted to kind of get your opinion. Like, if you met somebody that was just as, let's not call it alpha, but somebody who was like a leader, strong, determined, assertive, as a woman, do you find yourself attracted to that type of woman, or do you prefer the type of woman that's more supportive and, I've got your back, we're a team player type of woman? Like, let's talk about the type of women that you typically attract.
I'm cool with whatever. I mean, and it sounds like, in all honesty, because I like a good little balance. A person that, as my partner, as my teammate, she can step up and take charge when she needs to, but at the same time, when you're having a bad day, now if they're anything like my sister's boy, you better suck it up and keep it moving. But so I'm cool with whatever.
Some women do butt heads, and not that I feel like women should quote unquote submit or quote unquote be underneath the man. I'm not speaking like that. I'm saying some women that have the same personality type find it hard to do that. They find it hard to take a back seat and let you lead. As we talked about leading, they would find it hard to allow you to do that because I'm just as smart. I have an opinion, and what I say goes. Why we gotta listen to what you say? Like, have you experienced that?
It depends on, you know what, here's the biggest thing. It depends on where you are in life and the type of relationships you've already dealt with. Example, I'm 40. I was married for years. And, you know, when you've seen the issues that can come out of...
Make sure you're in the mic.
When you've seen the issues that come out of controlling or some of the arguments or whatever, regardless of your personality, sometimes you just, once you've been through some things, you know when it's time to step back.
Right.
And you do better at adjusting to almost anybody's personality because you've been exposed to so many. And it's like, all right, you learn when to pick your battles.
Yeah.
In relationships a little bit better as you get older.
What about you, Lavelle?
Well, my thing is, I mean, her personality shouldn't change who I am as a man. You know, you do have some women that have more of a dominant personality and they're used to doing things on their own. But, you know, I believe in empowering my woman. So, you know, I don't mind. I'm not necessarily taking a back seat or I'm not necessarily allowing her to lead just because I'm empowering her or I'm allowing her to kind of take that leadership role. Sometimes I think it's just about having an understanding for one another, understanding the dynamic of our relationship. You know, that I'm still a man and you're still you're still my partner as my woman. It's not about trying to prove something to me or how strong you are to me. It's about this team that we're trying to build, this journey that we're on, and I got your back. You know, I'm still here. You know, if you need me, and you know, but you need to know that hey, if things get out of line, I got to step in. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about emasculation because, like, do you feel a woman can emasculate you? Do you feel like a woman can say things? Yeah.
Personally?
Yeah, you personally. If I'm a woman, is it possible for me to emasculate? Is it possible for me to say things to you to break you all the way down to the point that you feel like, dang, she took my manhood? Is that possible?
I just think if you're that guy, you never were what you thought you were anyways. If somebody's able to just...
But women do emasculate men.
that.
Women do. I have seen. I don't know if y'all seen the type of women I've seen.
No,
but they can break you all the way down.
Now I will say this, going back to law enforcement, I've seen some women go in on dudes, and I'm sitting there like, God.
Yeah.
I'm like, you take that dog, type stuff. But I've seen them get broken down.
Hold on, we have a call.
Go ahead.
Hey, caller, welcome to Conversations with Cupid. You able to get him? Maybe you have to text us. We have an 478-569-6474. Send us a text. I don't think we can answer because Lamar's on the call. Okay, so it's okay. So just send us a text to whatever you were about to say. All right. So you said you've seen women who.
Okay.
Oh no, hold on. Alexis was saying you've seen women that was going off on a dude.
I've seen them get broken down at work. I'm gonna be honest with you, but just me personally, I think my personality is too strong for that.
And that's what I mean, because there are some men who so that's whatever that is that make you feel like no, it can't happen. That's what I'm talking about. So whatever name y'all want to give it, a man who feels like you can't emasculate me is this type that I'm talking about, whatever that means to you. Go ahead, Lamar.
Words hurt.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and women do know how to say some things that kind of hurt you. I mean, anybody can. You know what I'm saying? Strong words, whether you show that it hurt or not, or how you handle and manage the message is up to you, or how you manage difficulty yourself. But, I mean, some women, it could be a power struggle. You know, you don't want to get into a power struggle. Like, if you're in a relationship, you got to be in a relationship and be willing to work together. You know, but, people say harsh words. I mean, men say harsh words, women say harsh words.
Well, I'm not talking about just saying harsh words.
Taking away your masculinity.
Yes, emasculate.
Nobody can take away your masculinity. You're a man, you're going to be a man.
Unless you got it. Right?
And that's because you
can't just give that up.
I'm gonna say that's because of your personality. Because I've seen men say, men have said to me, she was emasculating me. She said these things that stripped me of my manhood. She talked to me in such a way that made me feel like I'm not even a man anymore. He was just soft.
Well, he didn't know how to communicate that. He didn't know how to communicate that.
There's some men who feel emasculated.
It can happen. I think
that hurt.
What were you gonna say, LaVelle?
You know, she made him feel less than a man, but it doesn't mean that he may not have, in the situation or whatever the context was, he probably put him down real low, to where he felt like, damn, I don't feel good right now. I don't feel good about myself, not just as a man, but as a person.
Yeah, but there's some things
and
women
when you love someone and you care about somebody and they talk down to you and make you feel bad, I don't care who you are, it's going to hurt.
Yes.
So I don't know if he probably meant, hey, it stripped me of my manhood. More so as that, it hurt. It hurt, and I felt really bad, and it hurt me to my core more or less. Okay,
there are some things women can say that hit men hard. They talk about your money, that you ain't got none, or they talk about your small penis. These kind of things can really cut a man to the core. Or they talk about anything like your how you perform in bed. If they hit you with any of those types of things, it's like, oh my God, like you hit me to the core.
Or either what another man did.
You couldn't do it, so I had to call Tyrone to break me off.
Because see, at the end of the day, what we do, we do it all for her. You know what I'm saying? We do it for our families. And so if she a lot of women, they know how to cut deep. You know what I'm saying? So my point was that, it can happen because, we're still emotional beings. Like I said, my point earlier was that, nobody's strong all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so if she knows your points, your pressure points, she can push those a lot of the times. But a confident man and a dominant type of man, I don't think he would allow himself to stay in that situation long enough for that to happen. That's what I feel. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if a man is weak enough to where he feel like he needs to hold on to that kind of abuse, then I would say there's some issues going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's quite possible. But I was gonna say, outside of that, the different personality types would respond to that differently.
Right,
so
yeah.
So a dominant type of personality is like, okay, you know what? You tripping. I might be out. You don't deserve me. I'm gone. I know who I am. I'm gone. Right. But there's another type that might stay in it a little longer because they're analyzing, oh, she's only saying that because she's hurt. And it doesn't make him weak. I just want to get this point across. So there are different types of people. And they would respond to that in different ways. It's just that I just know she had a bad day today. She didn't really mean it. She couldn't have meant it because she said this to me yesterday, so that doesn't mean that she meant that today. So they're going to analyze that. Then there's another person that's going to go, well, why would you say that to me? Well, what did I do to? And they're just going to keep going to try to get you to try to understand why you're talking to them that way from an emotional perspective. And then there's a different type of person that's going to be really supportive, like, I don't know what's going on with you right now, but I want you to know that I'm here and I support you and I'm not going anywhere and you're just upset and I'm just gonna hold you and we're gonna get through it. So people will respond to this different ways, but I don't want to say that one's stronger or weaker. It's just a different response.
Yeah, because you could have a man that can give all four of those responses. It would just depend on the timing, the circumstances, what's at stake.
Absolutely.
What they did to put it in that position. So.
Yeah. It's not to me, it's not a strength or weakness necessarily. It's just how you respond to those things.
It's about knowing your boundaries and your limits too.
That too, because
and how well you know your partner.
Because everybody might let her slide that, or him or her. If he did it to a woman, everybody might let you slide that one time, but the dominant personality might say, don't you ever talk to me like that again. If you ever talk to me like that again, I'm out. Right? That might be his response. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going to leave that moment. He might just let you know, this is my boundary. Don't you ever talk to me like that again.
But again, going back to what we were defining as a alpha male or a dominant male or whatever you want to call it, a leader earlier, that same person that would say, don't you ever speak to me again like that, if he knows that woman and he's the true leader that he's supposed to be, you're going back to a situation of, all right, well, you know what? I know she's dealing with at work. I know what she's dealing with her mom. Her mom's sick, or I know I've been gone a lot. She's been, everything's been placed on her when it comes to the kids. So a true leader is going to take that into consideration. It's not going to make him weak or anything like that. To me, that actually makes you stronger.
Right.
So that's why it really
exactly.
kind of,
so you balance it out.
Your
exactly.
response should be determined by who you are, where you guys are in that relationship, and then like we said earlier, what's at stake. But I ain't even talk to me like that. That was all I was saying. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Right, but there are some, but this thought of emasculation is serious. Like there are women. I do think there are women who emasculate men or attempt to, and to your point earlier, there are not enough men who are this type of leading, dominant role, and we don't see that enough. And there are a lot of men who are absent. You brought that up. So then women have to assume these roles of leadership and be everything in the house, because she is everything. Nope, she's the provider, she's the protector, she's everything. So it's not that she is necessarily dominant, she just situationally dominant. This is how I have to be right now. So all of these things are factors. And I work with a lot of women who have been, it for so long that it becomes hard for them to accept the man coming into their lives. It becomes hard for them to even partner with you in a relationship because they have experienced so much mess from dudes, treating them any kind of way, talking to them any kind of way, cheating on them, whatever. And so it's hard to accept that, that I can even trust you, to let my guard down, to even let you in. And they have to deal with some of those issues. I know you as a counselor, Lamar, you see women like this too, who have been hurt so much from previous relationships that it's hard for them to trust another man.
Yeah, I had to kick a guy out of my office one time because he was just too disrespectful to his wife.
Wow.
I was like, well, hold on. I had to tell her, I said, we got two options. I said, we can continue the relationship counseling or we can do individual counseling. I said, we can continue with the relationship counseling, but some of the things that I see now shows that there might be some need for some individual counseling, because the way he's talking to you and the way that you're allowing yourself to be talked to, I don't know. I see there could be trouble there. And she chose to do individual, and now she found somebody else and she's doing good. So
she left him.
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
That's true. And also, let's talk about the fact that you talked about somebody guiding a man, showing them how to lead, and sometimes that's missing, and he doesn't know how to assume this role, and that can affect people too. I dated someone who grew up in an abusive home. His father beat his mother mercilessly. It was ridiculous. Broken bones, and he grew up seeing this. And his father was a police officer, and it was always covered up. So even though he was abusive, he didn't go to jail. He didn't have a record. His friends covered it up. So he grew up in this type of environment. All right. So it affected his personality. He was the type of person that would do whatever I would say because he didn't want me to leave him. And that's hard. That's hard because I'm understanding where this is coming from, but that's not attractive to me. Like, I understand your hurt, I understand your background, I understand where this is coming from, but don't be begging me not to go. Like, don't do that, because that's not going to be attractive to me.
But a lot of times that still speaks to the person that he was naturally.
Yeah.
Because you have other men that will have gone through that exact same experience.
And have a different response.
And because you know what some of my background is and some of the things that I've witnessed, and I'm like, bye. The whole arguing and some of the things that can lead to what I saw growing up, my patience is super slim for it.
Yeah. I'm just saying that we have to be mindful of people. Some people's upbringing, that affects them a different way, and their response in a relationship you will see that, and it's because of what they saw growing up or what they experienced, and it's very possible. Lamar, this is a question I want to know, because I think I've been trained that personality types are just, that's what you are, that's your personality. But I have a question, like, after someone goes through therapy, is it possible that their personality can change? Like, I was victimized or I was abused, so I have this type of personality, but now that I'm whole and healed, I have a different personality. Is that possible?
Nope.
Well, your personality doesn't change, but you learn, like a personality, that's who you are. That's how you are as a person. However, there are certain things that you've learned as a result of your experiences in life. So if you, like you said, case in point, the person that's been abused has issues with attachment. So they learn, I'm not going to start conflict because, or I'm not going to speak up because that person might leave me.
Right.
So once they learn that, hey, I can speak up, I can voice my opinion, and this person is still going to be there, then they've unlearned that habit that they've picked up before. But some personality traits are just who that person is. You know, that doesn't change. But they may learn how to better interact with people around them and learn that their personality may rub people the wrong way or certain things that how they do certain things. So they may learn how to curb certain ways of how they behave. But certain things like depression or anxiety and things like that, you can kind of work through that and decrease it or even get rid of it completely to where, you know, it can be treated. But as far as a personality trait, that's who you are as a person. That doesn't go away. You know, it may go away for a short period of time, but it's going to come back. So it's about learning. You know, when we're born, we're not born with certain actions that we do. We learn those, you know.
Right.
But certain personality traits we have. You know, some kids are happy kids, or some kids aren't as energetic. You know, some kids are more vocal, or some kids are a little bit more quieter. That's their personality trait. But once they start doing things like, you know, attachment, like, hey, I have to be around you 24/7, then that's something that they learn.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point because there are some people who, like, regardless of where you are politically, let's look at like somebody like a Donald Trump. He might come across as very assertive. I doubt that he really is sure of himself, but he might come across as very confident, very sure of himself, but I doubt that he really is. I feel like deep inside, he's a scared little boy who scared people gonna realize that he doesn't know all that he's projecting to know, or you know what I mean?
No, I think he's to the point to where he believes his hype.
You think he does?
I think he believes his hype. He has to be one of the most. I'm sorry. He believes his hype. But go ahead.
My point was that he might come across as what people think of as alpha or dominant, but I don't think that's true for him. Is what I was trying to say. I think that he is the type that, like, he might profess to be alpha. He's the type of person that, because there are people like this who profess to be alpha, and like what I was just describing, you don't ever have to say that you are. You just are. He comes across as the type of person to me who would profess this dominance, like, this is who I'm the man, but really and truly not really be that. You're really insecure. You're really weak. You're just projecting this persona. That's not true. Does that make sense?
I just call it white privilege.
Well, I'm just talking about people who act like him.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yes,
people who act like him that feel the need to overexert their confidence, but they're really not confident. Does that make sense? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know we all know these people. They're jerks. They're buttholes. Because that's not the qualities that we were talking about initially when we were talking about these leadership qualities. We all know these people who are literally jerks, and they. You don't want to follow them, but they tell you, I'm the leader. I'm going to lead. I'm going to do this. And it's like, I really don't want to follow you. I don't think you're smart. I don't think you're confident.
He's wanting you to respect the position as opposed to who he is.
Exactly.
The same thing that we talked about earlier. They want you to respect that badge instead of them.
Exactly.
They're not who they're supposed to be, so they want this symbol to earn their respect.
It
That's
means
not how that works.
everything.
I mean, it goes to, you know what? The same thing when you got weak men with money.
Yep. The same thing. Yep. The same thing.
That's a Donald Trump to me because you look at, you know, how charismatic.
But that gets weeded out fast.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you
under
can
pressure,
see it.
All of that goes away.
Yeah.
You know, under extreme pressure, they don't know how to handle situations effectively. The ones that are, you know, even Trump, you can see him under pressure. He starts throwing out paper towels. You know, so
right.
They don't know.
And I mean, not to be political, but this drives home my point. Okay, so let's talk about a Barack Obama. He's not, I am leader, I'm alpha. He wouldn't be considered alpha, but he has great leadership skills. And under pressure, he's the analytical type. So if you ever saw him under pressure, he's gonna go, well, this is why this isn't working. He's figuring out why the T's aren't connected. Like, he's analytical, right? but he's a great leader because under pressure he's going to be cool. And he's not going to be loud, and he's not going to be aggressive. He's just going to be cool under pressure. And that's why I was trying to make sure that we understood that regardless of your personality type, you can still be a good leader. And it doesn't mean that you're weak because you're not this type. And you can also be weak if you are a dominant type of person. So I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Michelle run that relationship. We know that.
You think so? Well, she's a
Michelle run that
Capricorn, so I don't doubt it. But you understand my point, what I'm trying to say? Like, he's not that boisterous, I'm the president type of person. He's just, cool and confident in who he is. Regardless of your political leanings, I'm sure you can see that. Is my whole point. All right, so what I want to talk about, I'm sorry, I wanted to read some of your comments because I know y'all have been commenting and I haven't been able to get to them, so my apologies. But I want to touch on some of the things that you're sharing here. I don't see. Okay, here they go. All right.
Like this thing will not let me turn. Oh, there we go. There we go. Got it.
You got it on?
It was messing up.
What's Lamar's last name? Walker. Oh, Bran Bruce says you're her voice crush. You have a lot of bass.
Oh, shoot.
She likes the bass in your voice.
Oh,
Derek
shoot.
J. Henderson says Chip from the Rescue Rangers asserted his leadership. Meanwhile, Dale just laid back in the cut, chilling in his own skin, wearing his Hawaiian t-shirt. Who really is alpha? What about, I don't know. Y'all start talking about these other things, and I don't know which is an actual question, which is you just being funny. So I have no idea what you're saying. No, seriously, because they have like a whole different sidebar conversation. Okay, I don't know. I was trying to read some of your comments, but I don't see anything that's really serious. So I don't know. But let's talk about, so let's talk about some pitfalls in dating. So a person is a dominant male. What are some things that are not necessarily positive for a dominant male in dating? Because everybody has pros and cons. We talked about people thinking that you have a lot of women, or people thinking that you have a lot of options. What else?
I think that's
that hurry up, that rush factor.
Yeah.
Because women tend to want to rush you into relationships a lot of times.
Yes.
So they say, hey, you got what we want. Come on, let's go ahead and walk down the aisle. That's the other thing that I come across.
Well, I'm going to tell you, because I know we're the same age, Lamar. We were classmates at CAU. My point, this is going to be different for you because you're probably dating women mid-30s, late 30s. That's a different conversation because it's a time clock happening, especially if she don't have kids. She's ready to, lock you down. So she sees how great of a father you are. So all of those things is like, okay, I know if we have a baby, he's going to be attentive. He's going to, so it's like, okay, let me lock him down, get married, and get pregnant. That might be a different push, a different rush to the finish line because of your age. When you're late 30s, early 40s, and you date women mid to late 30s, early 40s, you're going to get that a lot of times, especially if they don't have kids. That's pretty common. Have you found these were women who didn't have children and wanted them?
I mean, yeah, some of them have children, some of them don't have children, the ones that I've come across. But I understand what you're talking about, that age factor. Yeah. And I'm not 40 yet. I've got a little time. I got a couple more years before I hit 40.
You have time, but see, we are on a biological clock.
So
even though you have time, you got a couple years before 40. For a woman at 38, it's like, we got to do this today. I got to get pregnant because I'm almost 40. It's a different thought process. Does that make sense? Yeah. We're on a time clock. You're not on a time clock. We are. What were you saying?
I mean, especially here in Atlanta, when you guys outnumber us. So it's not even just about the time clock. It's about it's a numbers game here. So that's another reason why so many are looking to rush into, okay, I found them, at least I think I got them. And they're not taking the time to really get to know people anymore. It's a microwave society.
Yeah, but I do think men sometimes are slow to lock it down. Now I have some couples who I've got the 3 couples that have gotten married so far. They have obviously gotten married within a year, so they were quick. to do it. But a lot of men, because I remember I have 100 couples. Some of them have just been in a relationship 2 and 3 years, and they're not even thinking about marriage yet. So sometimes men are slow to pull the trigger and go, let's do this. And that's just in general. Are we too fast? I mean, I think it depends on where a woman is in life. For a lot of women, especially in Atlanta, you have women who have accomplished everything. They've gotten their degrees. They've moved up in their careers. They have all the goals they wanted. They bought their house. They drive the car they want. They have everything they've ever wanted. The only thing that's not checked is marriage and children. Those are the last 2 boxes. So I found you. Let's go. Because that's how it works with everything else they do. You know, I got this degree, I can get this job. Like, that's how it works. I apply for this house, I fix my credit. I apply for this house, I got the house. So with everything else we do, we work hard and we get it. Why is this different? Why can't I get you to marry me and have a baby?
Kind of going back to what we said at the beginning of the conversation. She just did all that for herself, so she's not looking at that person to build with. She already built it. She's looking for something or someone to complete that image, to complete the game,
to fill a void.
Correct. It's like, okay, I got all this, I did it on my own, but see, that's going to be that person. Not all the time, but a lot of times that's going to be that woman that now gets that man in her life and is never truly going to follow him the way that, I guess, whether it's the Bible and everybody has their different opinion on that. But when we were talking earlier about women that are looking for a man to take charge, I don't know that she ever would allow a man to come into her life and follow him, if he's doing the right things for her to follow.
Well, it depends, because there are some women that I know who are very successful and all they're missing is marriage and children, and they will say, if I met the man right now, I would walk away from all of this. All I want is a husband and children. I will walk away from my businesses. I'll walk away from everything I've built, because all I really want is a wife. But in the meantime, they have to eat. So while they're waiting on this husband, they got to pay bills. They got to eat. So what you want them to do? They have to go out and do this, because nobody's going to pay the bills for them. So this piece that's missing, once they get it, who knows? They might walk away from their jobs. They might walk away from their business. They might submit. I'm not saying that all of them will, but I know quite a few who will. They're just waiting on those 2 pieces. And it's critical. It's like this particular, I mean, it's probably not as much of a rush when you're early 30s, definitely not in your 20s, but when you're like mid 30s, that clock is like.
No, but see, here's the thing. There's a lot of people, whether mid 30s, early 40s, whatever it may be, that are saying that, no good man, they want a relationship. I built all this type stuff. They handled all those things as men traditionally did years ago. But they have the mindset of a man with so many things now. Like, you guys are running around with more options than us. What I mean by that is this. I've seen a few girls that I'm cool with personally. Like, these are like my sisters, and it'll be on, well, this dude's playing. He ain't making any decisions. This, that, and the other. I'm like, but you dating 3 other dudes right now.
That's not the majority.
It's not the majority, but it's still happening more than
it happens,
we care to recognize.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that. And I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, because there's a lot of guys running out there with a lot of different options. There's not that much of a difference between, and be careful, I understand what I'm saying when I say this, between men and women these days. The type of difference that there should.
There's not much of a difference between men and women. What do you mean?
The roles, unfortunately.
Our roles, yes, traditional roles.
Correct. The roles that women have been placed into, and I'm big on understanding that, because, like I said, the strong people that were in my life that raised me right were women. The men in my life, growing up, whether it's my father, brothers, or whatever, were trash. So I grew up looking at strong women, raise families, run businesses, rise up in the corporate ladder. And so the roles have shifted, and therefore it's shifted the way a lot of women think. And a lot of the ways that men used to think, as far as the, keeping options open, this, that, and the other. A lot of women have started thinking like that now. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's right or wrong, but it's stuff that we've done for years. But now that they're the ones that are the breadwinners, they're the ones that are in corporate America now, are rising up much faster than we are. You're starting to see a shift in the way in thinking and behavior.
Yeah, I feel.
And be clear, I'm not saying that's right or wrong.
No, right, no, because it's systematic. It's I work in HR. When black women are hired more, so it's like, and most of the time we have the degrees that black men don't have, so
Right.
we get the jobs that black men don't get. So it's systematic, and it's kind of like, well, what do you do? I mean, this is the hand we've been dealt. We have the degrees and the ability to get these jobs, so we're gonna get them. And most of the time, you're not in a hurry to lock it down and get married and have kids anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and climb the corporate ladder. I'm gonna go ahead and get this other degree. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's kind of you like stuck between a rock and a hard place. And so to your point, being a dominant male, it probably looks like there aren't a lot of dominant men because of your point of with the role reversal and the shift that women are having to play right now. I think that's a critical point. You said that too. You don't see a lot of dominant men, and you see too many dominant women. But I want to say that I feel like the dominant women are situational. That's what I think. I'm gonna hold on to. They're in a dominant role because there's nobody else there. That's what I think. Go ahead, Lamar.
But sometimes men aren't taught to be dominant from their mothers. If you observe, like nowadays, or even for a while now, women are harder on their daughters. You know, they make their daughters, you know, carry a whole load. Where a lot of times their sons, they baby their sons. You know, they may tie their shoes for them. You know, where they'll have their daughter tie their own shoes. You know, I mean, and some of that comes from slavery. You know, teaching the man to be a little bit more submissive, so that way, you know, it doesn't draw too much attention to him. You know, so that whole strength sometimes isn't transferred over. It's not taught from a young age, especially if there's, again, like I was saying before, no male role model in there to show him what that looks like. You know, I mean, but some women, to the contrary, do teach their sons how to be strong and how to be dominant. But I've seen quite a bit that, you know, a lot of times treat their children, their male like their husband. You know, I see a lot of young men that have more control in their household than the mother does a lot of times. So it's kind of interesting, this whole how everything is going nowadays.
And that's a sad fact, though, Lamar. It does stem. I mean, you read the Willie Lynch letter, whether you believe it's true or just something somebody made up. It's real. We are taught to coddle our boys, you know, and to push our women, and the statistics speak to that. Like, there are black women are the most educated of any other race or demographic. So we are pushing our women to go and get an education because, girl, ain't nobody going to take care of you, so you better go get your degrees and you better climb that corporate ladder and don't be waiting around on no man to pay your bills. We are taught like that. And this is something that I think about as a mother to a son. I want to equip him the same way I was equipped, you know, to not wait around on a woman either, because it might not happen. Like, you know, the truth is you need to be able to carry the load regardless. Period. How do you teach a man to lead if there is no man in the house? Let's talk about that.
Here's the thing. I'd still say do the best job that you can leading by example. And again, for those that don't know my background, I'll just say it real quick. Never met my mother a day in my life. You know that. My father was was anything but a father. I stayed into illegal things, so I got bounced around a lot and ended up in a lot of abusive situations. That being said, the situations that I was in where there was some true support there were strong women. And I watched, whether it was one of my older sisters, she may be looking, Denise Walker. She went through a very similar situation, whether it's the abuse or the lack of parents. And I watched her put herself through school. I watched her, the way she takes care of her kids and all these other things. Still just continue to be the strongest person that you can be. Because they'll still learn strength from you. They'll learn strength from you, period, point blank. The one thing that a lot of women need to do, unfortunately, the single moms need to do, is stop teaching their children the anger side of it, because you'll have a lot of women, and that's what makes it harder for us, because we'll catch some of these young women as they've gotten older, because mom was hurt mom taught them that anger, that men ain't ish, they're not going to be ish, they're going to leave you at some point, and our support system is gone before they even get to us. So that's one of the things. And when you're talking about single moms raising these young men, again, they can't be coddled because the world's not going to coddle them.
Right.
The world's not going to baby them. You don't have to run around, and I see this on Father's Day, and it drives me crazy when I see
God.
single moms
Yes,
getting
I
Happy
hate
Father's
it.
Day. No,
I hate
you're
it.
not the father.
Never.
Continue to be the strong woman that you are.
That's all you can
Let
do.
that child learn that strength from you, and as they grow to be a man, that'll still be more is caught than taught. They're going to see that strength. They're going to see that maturity. They're going to see the way that you handle your responsibility. And there's nothing wrong with a son, so to speak, being like mom in that component. When you've learned her strength, you've learned how to handle responsibility the way that she has, and she held it down by herself. There are some of my best friends were raised in single mom homes, and some of the strongest brothers I know, some of the best fathers I know. But that's because their moms never taught them that anger or that hate.
Yeah.
They taught them how to be strong, period.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama were both raised by single parents, and I feel like they turned out great, too. So, yeah, you can turn out awesome in a single parent home, but I think that's key, this anger, not to transfer that. You want to chime in on that?
Oh,
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's about having a.
Hold on, Lamar.
Okay.
LaBelle. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it's about having a good support system around the kid. One thing that I love about sports is that it taught me a lot of
Yeah.
discipline, and I looked up to a lot of my coaches and
Yeah.
things like that, even all the way up through through college and stuff like that.
That's a good way to surround them around role models, too,
Right,
coaches.
right, and you get to see other men in action. You get to see how other men handle adversity, and you win together, you lose together. These are all things that we need to pay attention to growing up and just in everyday life. Some military schools help with discipline. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Stuff like
Definitely.
that. So
And
just
I
teaching
sent my son
structure.
to military school for that same reason, because I recognize that I'm soft. I mean, I'm a woman. I'm feminine. That's how I'm supposed to be. But I know you can't be like that. And not that he's not soft or feminine, but I know that I can't teach him that. I can't teach him discipline and structure and rigor like he needed to learn. So I did send him to military school as well. And there's a lot of hypermasculinity in military environments too, but I felt like they could give him that this is how a man acts. This is what a man does. A man has responsibilities. A man does what he say he's gonna do. Like those kinds of things, I think every man needs to learn. Because there's some men who just don't know. They just, there are some grown men who don't know how to tie a tie. I know this is off subject a little bit, but there are some grown men who don't know how to tie a tie. No one ever taught them.
But the problem is we have so many black men, and I hate this. We were talking about it the other day. The only thing that we hear that we are is from the community, from the media, from the news. We forgot, and just like we were saying the other day, we forgot that we're kings. We forgot that we're leaders. We forgot that we're CEOs. We forgot how much we've done to build this country up. We forgot that this is our country. Mm-hmm. We are the ones that built it. We're so used to hearing that we're niggas. We're niggas. We're trying to be the realest nigga on the street. We're trying to be this, that, or the other. We're okay with being baby daddies instead of being fathers. It's those type of things that men are lacking these days as well, because they're not hearing it from strong women or from strong men, be it fathers, be it coaches, whatever, that are stepping in their lives to remind them who they are.
Right.
And again, that kind of goes back to leading, to being dominant. I know that's, a bad word in some terms or whatever, but
I don't see it
these
as
are
a
the
bad
type
word.
of things.
Yeah.
These are the type of things that we as a black community, need to continue to remind each other. You can look on social media right now. You'll see all type of petty stuff, all type of silly stuff, tearing each other down. But we're no longer building each other up. And I say this all the time, black women, you have no idea how much we still need you to continue to build us up, to continue to support us as your leaders, as the fathers, as the, kings. Can't call yourself a queen if you're not willing to support some king, even if you don't have that man in your life. Personally, as your man or as your husband, a black man that is a king. I don't care how your father treated you, how your brother treated you. That doesn't put us all in that same boat. And the quicker that we start learning that as a community, and even with black men, that aren't in leadership, attacking those that are. Oh, he's an Uncle Tom. He a sellout. He think he this. He think he that. Bruh, be happy that we have somebody in that position, and just hope that he continues to open doors for you. To me, that's what leadership is about. That's what a true alpha male is. You're going to lead your pack, your people, your community, your family in the right direction for success.
Right.
But we have so many stragglers at the end of these packs trying to pull people back with them.
Right. No, I think it's a valid
Like,
point.
I can guarantee you right now, I haven't read any of these yet, but you're gonna have 1 or 2 or 3 up on there that have something negative to say not about me, not about this, but just about just some of the topics we're talking about in general, as opposed to, all right, well, good point. What can I do to help bring this change into our community or into our families? Or, I might not have any kids, but let me get into coaching or let me get into mentoring,
or
because
big brother, big sister.
Because
There's
there are
something
so
you can
many
do.
out there that
yes,
need you.
Absolutely. There's so much we can do.
Same thing with women.
in the community.
If you're tired of seeing, and I say the word, if you're tired of seeing sorry men, or as some will say, sorry ass men, how about you get out there and mentor? You can still become a part of some of these young men's lives as well. If you're a strong, successful businesswoman, offer one of these young men an internship. True indeed, we want to see you build up other sisters, but offer some of these opportunities to some of these young men. If you're seeing a lack of men in this world, of strong men, do something to change it as opposed to continue to tear them down.
I think that's a valid point. Lamar, I'm going to let you chime in so we can start wrapping up. What did you want to share?
Yeah, definitely. There is a lack of mentors out there. I'm constantly looking and reaching out, trying to find black men to help mentor, especially for a lot of my younger clients. It's needed. It's necessary. There has to be a balance. I mean, just as there's strong women out there, we need strong men and we need each other. We definitely, men need women and women need men.
Absolutely.
To be able to function in
We
society,
definitely need each other.
for us to build our community. So, the point that he's making is definitely on the head, that we need to get out there, we need to give back and continue to work with each other.
Absolutely.
I mean, even myself, we're talking about it, and as he was talking about, that strength in single parent families, I come from a single parent family myself, and I think back at the women in my family, they were strong. I mean, there were strong men in there too. So, my mother made it a point to make sure that I interacted and I engaged with my cousins and with my uncle. Mm-hmm. But their strength was exhibited in their careers, but it was also exhibited in how they engaged the other men in our family. Mm-hmm. You saw the women, doing little things to still allow them to be men. And that's important. You got to allow a man to be a man, just as a woman needs to be treated definitely like a woman under any circumstances.
Right. No, I think it all goes back to what has been modeled for you. And a lot of us have shared that some people just don't see it modeled. And so, like you gave the bike example, they've only seen it on TV. They've never been on the bike. Nobody's ever put them on the bike and showed them how to pedal. I don't think we can answer the caller because we have Lamar on. But we are just about out of time. I just wanted to... is the call still ringing? You stopped it? Okay. Well, sorry, caller, we couldn't get your call today. We'll be back next week. But I really just want to thank everybody for contributing on this topic. We were talking about dating a dominant male, and we hit a lot of crucial points that, I think a lot of men don't know how to lead. They've never seen it. They may have grown up in a single parent home. They may have grown up in an abusive home, whatever your situation is. And I think a lot of women might be too dominant just because they've never been given an opportunity to not be, So I think what we have to do is give each other a little grace and understand each other's background, understand where you're coming from and how do you plan to get there. And once we align, I think we can partner together. We talked about ruling together. Kings and queens rule together. So in order to rule together, I've got to understand you and you've got to understand me, and then we can do this together. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
None. Thanks for having me again. It was a pleasure.
Yes, thank you, and get well soon. And Alexis?
No, I appreciate you having me here.
Thank you
Enjoy
again.
myself.
Yay! ahead. You have to come back. A lot of ladies were saying they liked your point of views. They like what you were saying, so make sure you come back. And Lamar, as always, it's always good to have an expert on, and when we're talking about topics like this, and thank you for always being so willing to chime in. So I appreciate you.
Oh, I can go to my page, Alexis Robert Speaks. Plug myself real quick.
Alexis Robert Speaks, yes, and I've liked your page as well.
Either on Facebook or on Twitter. That's about it.
That's it. All right. So
no, not Twitter. What is it now? IG. I don't have
Instagram.
All that stuff. Yeah, that.
So we have our sexy singles calendar. Like I said, the reveal is going to be November 4th at our masquerade. The masquerade is going to also be on November 4th at the Dawn Event Center, and we invite you to come out. So when you come out to the masquerade, you'll also have the reveal of the calendar. Those who are in the calendar will be there signing autographs on their pictures. We have a male calendar and a female calendar. So 12 sexy ladies in their swimsuits and 12 sexy men in their trunks. And they look really good. Shout out to the photographer, Brooklyn Hughes. All the pictures are taken by Brooklyn Hughes. So I'm really excited about the calendar. And I'm really excited about our upcoming masquerade match on November 4th. So if you want to know what we're doing, now you know. Now you're plugged in. So stay tuned. And we'll be back next week. Thank you for joining Conversations with Cupid. Smooches.
It's Georgia's best conversations with Cupid Radio. Your host, Shay Primus on InstinctRadio.net.